Little acorn. See if I can get that in the picture. Oh, maybe. Well, today we're going to talk about wisdom and the importance of giving, and more importantly, being able to be open to good advice from others. Let's go. Now, back when I was in college, we had this rather unusual student. I don't know where he came from, but I have a pretty good idea that wherever he came from, they didn't have any grass. Now, he was on our summer groundskeeping crew, and one of his jobs was to mow the lawns there at the college or at the university. So his supervisor gave him a lawnmower and some gas and set him up to mow and went away and left him. And when he came back, he saw him out there in this big yard mowing like this. And so the supervisor called him aside and he taught him that when you're mowing a yard, some people go vertically and horizontally. Some people grow crisscross. Some people go around the edge and just kind of trim it that way each time. And you always kind of move it where it hasn't been. But nobody mows the yard like this. So the supervisor left after showing him how to do it, came back an hour or two later to check on him, and he was out there in the middle of this yard going. Now, I did not know that that student. Never really met him, never really talked to him. He was on the summer grounds crew, and I was in the maintenance department, but I was in charge of the paint crews. And so our paths never crossed. But I do understand that he was pretty much like that with everything, pretty much inept and unteachable. And he would do something, the supervisor would leave him someplace, come back, and it would be all messed up. Supervisor would do the same, teach him how to do it, come back again. You know, I never met the student. But my crews, ever so often, were in the shop the same time that supervisor was in the shop. And the supervisor had just come out from talking to this guy and would just air out all his frustrations to us. And we would try to keep a straight face. And then when the supervisor left, you know, we'd have our snickering. And sometimes it was the high point of our day getting the update on this student. So that kind of brings me to an idea I want to mention today. Have you ever known someone, either because of pride, or because they thought they knew everything, or because they just didn't want to be pushed around and told what to do, or I don't know why. Maybe they felt bad about themselves and didn't want to look stupid or something, you know? But have you ever known someone that just would not take advice? And they wouldn't talk to anybody about it? Now, if this student had gone to another one of the groundskeepers crew, they probably could have helped him out. But if you known somebody that wouldn't take advice and they wouldn't get help and they wouldn't talk to anybody about it, they just pretended like they knew what they were doing, boy, they cause a lot of trouble, don't they? That is, a lot of trouble upon themselves. I can't imagine all of the kinds of problems that those kind of people get into over and over and over again because they won't listen to advice. When in reality, all of us need to listen to advice because there is no one that is on top of every issue and knows all there is to know about everything. So we all are people that need advice. Now, there is something that is worse than a person that won't take advice. Something more dangerous than a person that won't take advice. And that is a person who won't take advice, But they always seem to need to give advice to everyone else. I think in Matthew chapter 15, Jesus said, when the blind follow the blind, they both fall in the ditch. And there are some people that you can't tell them anything. They won't learn anything. And they'll argue about everything, but they always are ready to jump in the fray, and they're always ready to have an argument, or they're always ready to tell somebody else what they're doing wrong. Now that's a big mistake. I know that I've told this story a bunch of times before. It's one of our family legends. You know, it's one of the highest parts of our family, or the story is, and we still laugh about it. But many, many years ago, when my kids were little, we went on a family vacation. And we only got from our house to Jacksonville, which is like 45 miles away, and the turn signals weren't working on my car. So I pulled in, and my stepbrother was going to work on it for me. Now, I had no idea that my stepbrother had no idea of what he was doing. Everything he said, he always seemed sure about, and always seemed to know what he was talking about, and he worked at a car dealership. Now, I probably should have been aware that he worked at a car dealership as a salesman, not as a mechanic. But hindsight, it's 2020. So I pulled in to my dad's house, my stepmom's house, and my stepbrother came out to work on it, and he just was as sure as anything, confident, quiet, not disturbed, and he pulled apart my entire steering column. The steering wheel, the turn signals, the locks, everything in there he pulled apart. And I was just watching him do it, thinking, this car is in the hands of an expert. And then I saw him pick up a part, and this puzzled look go across his face. And that was the first moment I thought, uh-oh, I think we have a problem. And we did have a problem. We were able to jury-rig and get enough of that steering column back in to steer the car, and then we drove it to a dealership and gave it to them to fix. They looked at what was going on and they said, "You did what? Hey, come and look at this, guys." And so they had a laugh at our expense, just like we used to have a laugh at that student worker's expense. And for the next 2 weeks, my vacation was spent in my dad and my stepmom's backyard. Today, I'm in Proverbs. As you know, I'm in Proverbs just pretty often. And these are a few verses from chapter 12 and chapter 13 of Proverbs. I'll just read them quickly. They'll make sense after what we've been talking about. From chapter 12, verse 15, fools think they know what is best, but a sensible person listens to advice. From chapter 13, verse 10, too much pride causes trouble. Be sensible and take advice from the right person. Add that little clause on there. Chapter 13, verse 18 says, all who refuse correction will be poor and disgraced, but all who accept correction will be praised. And verse 20, wise friends make you wise, but you will hurt yourself or your car by going around with fools, or at least those that don't know what they're talking about. Hey, the theme of the day is don't be proud, take advice. And when you take advice from the right person who also is willing to grow from advice and not from someone that thinks they know everything. In a few days, we'll get to worship together again, and I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to meeting with you in a few days, and between now and then, may God bless you and give you an openness to the advice of those around you, and may God give you the wisdom to choose wise advisors. God bless you.